A few years ago, New Testament scholar Richard Carrier published a book with a provocative title, Jesus from Outer Space. The argument, stripped to its essentials, is this: the earliest Christians did not believe Jesus was a historical figure who walked the earth. They believed he was a celestial being, an angelic entity from the heavens, who descended to earth, was crucified in a kind of cosmic realm, and rose again to return to his throne in the stars. Carrier intends this as a debunking. He is trying to show that earliest Christianity was mythological, not historical. But here is the twist. The Cayce Readings agree with the cosmic framework, and then they do something Carrier never anticipated. They make Jesus' celestial journey the pattern for every soul. To understand Carrier's argument, you have to understand the cosmology of the ancient Mediterranean world. In that worldview, the universe was structured as a series of nested celestial spheres surrounding the Earth. The Moon occupied the lowest sphere, then Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and beyond those, the fixed stars. The space between these spheres, the gaseous, ether-filled expanse extending from Earth outward through the planetary realms to the stars, was simply called the heavens. In the Greek and Hebrew of antiquity, there was no separate word for outer space. The heavens were outer space. They were continuous. Carrier's point is that when the earliest Christians said Jesus came from heaven and returned to heaven, they meant, in the most literal sense available to them, that he came from and returned to what we would now call outer space. He was a celestial entity, an angelic extraterrestrial in Carrier's deliberately modern phrasing. Carrier uses this to argue against the historical Jesus. But something else is happening here. He has recovered the ancient cosmological context, and that context is exactly the world the Cayce Readings describe. The Cayce Readings describe the soul entity that incarnated as Jesus in terms that map precisely onto this ancient cosmological framework. The readings portray Jesus as the soul who first went through the complete cycle of earthly lives to attain perfection, including perfection in the planetary lives. That phrase is significant. Perfection in the planetary lives means the complete traversal of the planetary sojourn system. Every planetary environment, every dimension of soul development available in this solar system and beyond was fully mastered. And then, his final incarnation as Jesus of Nazareth was described as a voluntary mission, one who was already perfected and returned to God, having accomplished oneness in other celestial planes and systems, choosing to incarnate again, not out of karmic necessity but as a demonstration, a pattern, a showing of what is possible. From this perspective, Carrier's angelic extraterrestrial is not a debunking, it is a description. The soul entity that incarnated as Jesus had traversed the celestial spheres, the planetary realms, and returned complete. The descent into incarnation was a gift to humanity, not an exception to the cosmic order, rather an expression of it. Carrier documents that the dying and rising celestial Redeemer pattern appears across the mystery religions of the ancient world: Osiris, Dionysus, Mithra. Each descends, suffers, and rises. Each offers salvation to those who undergo initiation into the mystery. The Cayce Readings confirm that this pattern is real, not as mythology, but as cosmological reality. The soul descends from celestial realms into physical incarnation. It undergoes the suffering and purification of earthly life. It rises, eventually, back toward its source. Every soul traces this arc. Every soul is, in the most literal ancient sense, a celestial being who has descended from outer space, from the planetary realms, into a physical body on earth. Jesus is not an exception to this pattern. He is the pattern completed, the soul who has run the full course and returned to demonstrate what awaits every soul at the end of its journey. The readings put it directly: Jesus was the pattern for all to follow. This transforms the theological meaning of the incarnation entirely. It is not about one soul rescuing all others from outside the process. It is about one soul having completed the process, demonstrating its endpoint to all those still on the way. The practical implication of all this is something the standard Christian framework rarely emphasizes. You are also a celestial being. You also descended from celestial realms into physical incarnation. You have a home in the cosmos beyond the earth. The readings describe each soul's most recent planetary sojourn as the environment from which it took its flight to inhabit its current physical body. The qualities of that sojourn are carried into the current life as the soul's most immediate cosmic inheritance. You are not primarily an earthling with occasional spiritual experiences. You are, in the readings framework, primarily a spiritual cosmic entity with a current earthly assignment. The outer space carrier describes as Jesus' origin is your origin too. The celestial journey he completed is the journey you are on. Carrier set out to debunk Christianity by recovering its ancient cosmological context. What he actually recovered, quite unintentionally, is the cosmological framework within which the Cayce readings make complete sense. The soul descends from the celestial realms. It enters physical incarnation. It develops through earthly and planetary sojourns. It eventually returns to its source, as Jesus demonstrated. This is not mythology. It is, according to the readings, the structure of cosmic reality. If your soul took flight from a celestial realm to inhabit your current body, if outer space is genuinely your point of origin, what does that change about how you understand your life here on Earth? What does it mean to live as a citizen of the cosmos, temporarily on assignment in a physical body on Earth?